Okay. All right. Well, I believe that yeah, well, that's not new. That's not the news source. Let us see. Well, I'm here. This is a screen grab from the other day, but I am here. Um, and will be appearing to you momentarily here as we sort this out. I think it's just a matter of reconnecting and disconnecting. But yeah, thanks for being here. Thanks for being here. We do appreciate the time that you spend here. And there we go. There we go. We are now live here from Clay headquarters, here from Studio A of Clay headquarters. And thank you all again, as always. Appreciate you all being here. If you want to join the community around Clay, you can go to the Sparkspace Discord, which you can join, which has wonderful functionality, going to make it into this a beautiful laboratory of ideas, laboratory of creativity, right? Go to clay.inc, and you should be able to find, the Spark subscription. You can subscribe to the Spark. You'll get an email that says, "Hey, you're part of our newsletter. Join our community too." And so once you're on the newsletter, you will be able to join our community, which will be we're working on what essentially is an AI bot, a chat bot integrated with ChatGPT that will maximize brainstorming potential. We want to build something that is going to drive forward the ability of people to just brainstorm things, create new things and craft things, look at the possible solutions, possible ideas, just to spitball or to really get into the weeds of building something new. And so I'm excited about that. I think this is going to be a great opportunity for a lot of people to come up with a lot of interesting things and just to collaborate. AI becomes this mirror, this magic mirror, really. It shows you things that you didn't know that you needed to know, but helps you make connections. That's sort of, it's all about the feedback loops. When you have these feedback loops of information, you're in the zone and you're drawing on what you already have. You're making connections. You're building up these ideas, right? And then your brain is processing it, doing what it does best, pattern recognition. As it goes through that process, any new information that's spit your way, you begin to see the new ideas that are emerging, the new things that are coming about. And you get to piece it all together. You get to piece it all together into a wonderful mosaic of ideas and create something entirely new, just like a mosaic. All these little pieces that wouldn't mean too much on their own build something big whenever you put your mind to it. And so that's what we're going to build there, is an opportunity to combine a few different creative models. So you've got different models of creativity, like just the incubation kind of model, which is primarily relying on feeding your brain good ideas and then allowing the subconscious mind to make some of those connections while you're actively doing other things. Achieve that aha moment, and then, bam, there you go. And then we're working on the active brainstorming element of it, which is an interesting thing because I think one of the most profound game-changing mindset switches is to allow yourself not to make judgments while you are creating. That's part of editing. Writers will know this because if you want to write faster, get into the zone of writing, don't judge yourself as you're going through it. Wait afterwards and then judge yourself whenever you're editing, because then you ferociously attack this thing, right? It's really not about being a golden goose. You're not supposed to automatically let out golden eggs. It's more like Rumpelstiltskin, spinning straw into gold. Hopefully not, selling your firstborn child to do it, but it's sometimes success sometimes is costly. So we shall see how that goes, I guess, for some of us. But and to scale back from the brink of this metaphor, I think that it's important that we just think about spinning the straw into gold. Really, it's and maybe you could, I'm mixing my metaphors, but wheat from the chaff, goats from the sheep, those sorts of things. Biblical, getting biblical with it. And so I think that there are just a plethora of ways that you could look at it in terms of honing in on the good and just letting yourself edit ferociously as much as you create ferociously. Just don't hamper yourself. There are different stages of the creative process. And so, brings me back to my point, was that IncuBrain, which is our bot that will help people brainstorm in real time, going to help people get over the idea of being afraid to let out bad ideas. So you just plant your ideas, the seeds that grow, and the seeds that don't. You find the good ideas after you've come up with a bunch of ideas. And so that's the power of brainstorming. The real power is not letting yourself judge these things. There's a wonderful idea from the Greeks, from the skeptics among the Greeks, epike. Now, these skeptics like Pyrrho and so forth, they didn't believe in that knowledge was knowable, that true knowledge, 100%. And I'm somewhere with them on that getting to 100% on knowing things, it's rather difficult. And so they had the idea of epike, which is all about non-judgment. And I think that it's a valuable tool. It's similar to how much I have appreciated the Stoics, like Ryan Holiday's material and so forth, in recent years, just in terms of not judging emotions, but also, with the skeptics, not judging knowledge too quickly. And so all of that to say is that don't let first impressions judge your idea of an idea, because some good ideas are good ideas that won't work because they're just not meant necessarily to work in a particular context, in a particular system. So sometimes it's also a matter of looking at ideas in a context, in a framework, in a system, in the scope of complexity. Those are important things to take into consideration. But it's also important to think about it, I think, in terms of the opportunities that are involved, and the bad ideas can be good ideas in the right hands. These sorts of things are possible. If you know where you're headed, if you know you've got a destination to go to, you'll find a way to get there. You'll find a way out of the labyrinth, whether or not it takes years. Then these sorts of things are possible. These sorts of things are possible depending on your goal. Figuring that out, sometimes it takes time though. But it's all part of the creative process. All part of building up the ideas in your own mind and developing them and developing yourself, because that's that most critical leverage point. Archimedes said that he could move the world with a lever, but the most important point of leverage in that equation really is Archimedes for noticing that. And so that's important too. So we've got creativity coaching from Clay, and that is going to be a lot of fun. And I'm very excited to talk more about this because I really enjoy working with people. I really do. And I enjoy talking about creativity, as maybe you've noticed, because I think that it's undervalued and not taken seriously as a discipline yet, because it's one of those things. The interdisciplinary disciplines don't find that so soon, but it really is something that has a lot of background behind it. Back all the way to Henri Poincaré. I don't know exactly. It's French. I once pronounced Nadia Boulanger's name is Nadia Boulanger, and so that's not right. But anyway, it's you got to work on my French. That to say, this guy, 19th century mathematics guy, polymath really, dug into the creative process, found that 4-step solution to prepare, incubate, epiphany, and then test the results. That was his 4-step solution. I think that it was 4 steps. I may have missed one. Committing it to memory has, that's a whole other thing. But point being is that the idea is there already within the last 150 years, and so It's a nascent science, as all sciences really are. They're all really, we're all really in the, since the scientific revolution, sciences are only like in their 20s, right? Because they're getting towards their prime, really, today with all of the tools that we have at our disposal. But within the fields of knowledge, there's just constant upheaval still. And people are changing their minds, ideas are changing, and so we continue to evolve, we continue to learn. That's the beauty of it. The lifespan of ideas. And so anyway, all of that to get into, first of all, just to say, if you want to sign up for creativity coaching, I would love to have you. And I'd love to talk more about your ideas, love to talk more about how we can get you over your creative hurdles, whether it's creativity blocks, whether it's juggling too many projects. A subject I have a plethora of experience in is juggling too many projects. And so that's something as well we can talk about. And I think that as well, being able to coach in that creative setting, having a creative space where people are free to speak their minds, come up with ideas, shout them out, and also, this is the important part, have other people that are willing to not judge too quickly. I love to, and this is my own work life experiences so often, to just throw out the craziest thing that comes to mind. And sometimes it's kind of that door in the face technique of persuasion of throwing out the craziest idea and then scaling back from there and coming up with a compromise that is more realistic. Realism is what you make it. Point being, though, is that sometimes you start with the extremes of ideas and you work your way back. And that is a very sound method for innovation. But all of that to say, creativity coaching, go to www.clay.inc, clay.inc, and let's chat. We're going to do this. We're going to make you a cutting edge creative, because I think that that's exactly what the world needs, both for the outer world, for solving these problems that we face, climate change for one, of course, transportation, social issues, all these things need creative solutions. Artistic things need solutions, because we need great art, we need great literature, we need great architecture, because that nourishes the soul. And whether you think that the soul is something incorporeal or something that is just neurons firing in the brain, doesn't matter. We need to take care of the human soul. And so that is part of the creative legacy, the creative journey as well. And so anyway, I'm going to go through the headlines today. I'm going to do it fairly quickly because I have sermonized my way into being short on time. But very important story. Google is working on a project. This is according to the New York Times. And Google was chatting about this with the New York Times. They were chatting about it with the Washington Post, News Corp. That's Rupert Murdoch's company, of course. And they're the owners of the Wall Street Journal. These companies are talking about Genesis, the Genesis project. And now this is not the one from Star Trek where it creates a whole new planet. No, I don't think we're quite there yet. Genesis is a project to create AI-driven journalism. And so while I tend to be, fairly optimistic about AI. I understand the implications of all AI. I understand certainly the situation that it creates for all jobs. Nobody wants to lose their job. Well, maybe if you hate your job, you want to lose your job. And sometimes I dream about building this media empire we got going on here. Sometimes I dream about, well, if the AI take all the jobs, I'll just go back out into the country and become a farmer. Ideas, you just got to see how the singularity goes. But that may be happening sooner rather than later, because Genesis is aimed at journalism. And so will Google become the new news app? Twitter has become the news app on the Apple App Store. And so they've been downloading the Twitter app, and it's rating as a news app. And so that's interesting, because it's the social media absorbing media as generally, and the creator economy absorbing all these other economies creatively. And so that's an idea, that's an opportunity there for disruption is this sort of facilitation of media, because tech and media as a channel, as a medium, these sorts of things are driving one another. And so if you have another mind like an AI to digest the news for you, to put it out there and put it together, now the question becomes, is this a matter of scraping together the pieces from the Washington Post, from the New York Times, from these other articles, or is it a matter of putting together a pipeline to bring together the facts and put together a comprehensive story? I think that the future of journalism often will look more like a visualization than anything else. And so I think that there's opportunities there where we put together the news in interesting ways that create visual nodes and graphs and connection points between the different things going on. It becomes a mental landscape. Those sorts of visualizations are really interesting to me, and so I think that maybe this is an opportunity for AI. And I'm trying to work with different folks, different freelancers, to begin working on AI journalism too. And I think if it gives us more information, better information, in a way that we can digest it, that's great. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Appreciate your time. Hope you will stick around. Hope you go to clay.inc, subscribe to The Spark, sign up for Creativity.